Hi, my name's Captain Frost, and this is gonna be Build Watch series where I will try to help you understand one of the most popular or one of the most efficient builds that are currently present in the game, with the live example of someone who've built that build, who've made it to one of the first highest levels in the current league, which is currently Crucible. It's patch 3.21. So yeah, and our first video will be dedicated to Lightning Arrow skill, which is one of the most popular bow skills in the Crucible League, and this is gonna be this particular build watch. So that's kinda guide, kinda not guide. I'm not gonna show you everything that this character can do or can't do. I'm just gonna run through the most essential parts of the character so that you can understand if you have any problems with build understanding and stuff like that, so that you can understand what's essential for the build, which mechanics are working, and what's the strongest points of the character, what's the weakest points of the character, how can you build it cheaper, how can you build it maybe more not cheaper, I guess. So yeah, the character that I'm gonna be showing is this guy Poeninja Crucible. As you can see, he was one of the top 6 characters who've hit level 100 with Deadeye in current Crucible League, and yeah, here we can see that he swapped to the Mage Blood currently, but we have a snapshot of the build that was on the 7th day of the league, which means that in 7 days of progress this guy made it. So far it's not as costly as some other builds, especially with Lightning Arrow, with all the Rangers, all the Deadeyes, running with Mage Blood, running with Headhunters, replica Headhunters and stuff like that. So there are still quite expensive pieces going on here, but it's still not 300 divines, it's not 100 divines, it's probably somewhat less. Definitely it can be close to 50 or 40 divines. It all depends on the day of the league that you're playing, but it's not these 50 divines that, or like 30 or 40 or 20 that was spent on this build were probably spent quite one by one and not in the, so you basically you don't really need all the 20, 30, 40 divines in order for this build to work. It's just all the upgrades and stuff like that. So yeah, as you can see, this guy definitely did something pretty well. His build plays pretty good. It's 1.1 million DPS with just like it's how it shows on Poeninja. And now we're gonna come back to the POB itself to check everything that goes with this character. So as you can see in POB, it's 2.5 million DPS because Poeninja doesn't calculate Trinity support, it doesn't calculate some other mechanics that we can see here, and that's on Guardian Pinnacle boss. If you were go for the basic mobs, it's 3.4 million, then standard it's 2.8, and then on Guardian Pinnacle boss it's 2.5. So yeah, what do we have here? What's the most essential stuff? So let's start with the Ascendancy itself. So why Ascendancy is very, very good on the Lightning Arrow? We have Chain, we have projectiles being able to ricochet from the terrain and to chain on enemies, which means that in closed maps it's gonna be very, very good. Then we have 2 additional projectiles which are just essential. Tailwind to be faster, to be more efficient with the clear. And we have Focal Point, which increases your damage on single target and a bit raises your defensives as well. So yeah, then I guess we will look at a bit at our effective hit pool, which is 34k. It's not that much. You definitely can get one shot. Sometimes we have 36k evasion, 9k armor with the flask up, which is, yeah, and 91% spell suppression, which you can probably ramp up to 100 to be for spell suppression to be just more reliable and not to get one shot as much as possible. But it's all not essential. We do have some defensive layers. We wouldn't be as Glacial Cannon, but it's still kinda it's kinda low effective HP character, but for softcore and for all the amounts of damage that you can get on this character, it probably wouldn't be a big of a problem. So yeah, let's go for the talent tree itself. As you can see, we're taking a bunch of course, life nodes, so then mana reservation efficiency nodes, some jewels, elemental damage, elemental penetration, again maximum life and evasion with some additional suppress, and as he uses high risk ire item, yeah, this quite big evasion rating, heavy evasion rating focused armor. We see here 100% increased evasion rating from equipped body armor. Then we're taking additional projectiles, we're taking all the crit strike chance and multiplier for bow skills that we can possibly get. Again, more additional arrows, some frenzy charges, and by the way, frenzy charges are not even counted in here as the damage multipliers, they are just shut off. So yeah, more life, a bit of accuracy, again, some crit, life, additional projectile speed, projectile damage, which is not that essential. And we're taking a bit of life leech, a bit of just flat HP and mana per enemy hit, and mana leech as well. So that will help you with your sustain 100%. This node in particular, we're not taking it for the mana itself, we're taking it for 12% increased mana reservation efficiency, which if you were to calculate it for all the three nodes is gonna be 4 per node, which is good if you want to stack a bit more auras and still have enough unreserved mana in order to not use life tap, which will make your skills use HP instead of mana. So here we have 100 unreserved mana, 1 hour lightning arrow costs 12 mana, which means that yeah, we can life leech it quite easily. We do have just enough and mana regen and mana leech, so we do have enough mana, we don't need to use life tap, and that's gonna be very, very good. It will save us more space with our gem slots, it will give us more damage essentially. So yeah, that's with all your baseline stuff on the talent tree. Then when we're coming to what we're going for is Lethal Pride, that's Timeless Jewel from Legion, which can be a bit costly from time to time. It's just to gain additional stats, as you can see, chance to double damage, again chance to double damage, more chance to double damage, some fire resistance, some strength as well. Here you will gonna miss some stats, so additional strength is definitely gonna help you with gearing up. Then chance to intimidate enemies, stun duration. So yeah, as you can see here, increased totem placement speed, where we have our ballistas, which can help a bit as well. But that's this part of the tree is very, very heavily dense, with us taking a bunch of talents. So Lethal Pride here is going to be very, very good and efficient. Then, as we can see, he's going for some cluster jewels. This is cluster jewels for additional elemental damage, and we are gonna apply some elemental ailments on enemies, which means that we will deal more damage with this talent. And then we have additional just some early rest, some damage. With medium jewels, we're taking straight up damage and crit. Then again, more crit, more attack speed, it doesn't really matter. So something that goes with crit or projectiles. And there is gonna be crit damage, I mean crit strike and damage, crit strike and attack speed. And here we have projectile speed, projectile damage and attack speed. And yeah, so that's just your generic more damage talents that we can squeeze out of our placement in here. And then with our jewels that are gonna be in the last spots, we see here Watcher's Eye, which is quite expensive but not too much. It's for precision, additional crit multi, additional attack damage, and chance to spell suppress with grace. We're gonna use grace. So yeah, that's just additional good stuff, as we're not gonna be feeling the weight of spell suppression on our gear as much, with all the talents taken down here for suppression, and some of it coming from Watcher's Eye as well. Then we see Ancestral Vision, modifiers to chance to suppress spell damage also applies. applied to chance to avoid elemental ailments at 50% of their value, which is definitely gonna be pretty good if you, especially if you can get additional chance to avoid elemental ailments that will make you immune to them. That depends on your gear, that depends on your talents. If you are Raider, for example, and not Deadeye, maybe you want to like deviate from it, you're gaining 50% chance to avoid elemental ailments while phasing, and you're constantly phased, which means that you will have just like quite easy with 100% chance to suppress, you will have immunity to elemental ailments. Which is just very comfy, very good, and it saves you space on your flasks. It saves you from a bunch of deaths that you can get. So we see here there's a bit of talents for marks. We're generating frenzy charges when we're hitting marked enemies, and we probably have mark on hit, which means that we're almost constantly have our frenzy charges with us. And then here's one of the other crucial jewels, Lion Eyes Fall, which is a bit expensive as well, but that's, again, it's not a build defying, it's just a bunch of damage. So melee and melee weapon type modifiers in radius are transformed to bow modifiers, and we have here some dagger stuff and some claw stuff. So with daggers we see a bunch of crit chance, crit multi, and with claws we have attack speed and straight up damage. Yeah, so that's just like how it goes, and critical strikes have Culling Strike, which is definitely pretty good as a dagger mastery, but it will spread onto your bows as well. So yeah, this is what we have with our talent trees. Then let's go for the skills. I hope that everything is right. 11 minutes already. Yeah, we need to. I don't want to make all these videos for too long. I want to make them quite like so that they are gonna be quite fast and you can get all the information that you need quite rapidly. So with Lightning Arrow, it's all simple: more elemental damage, inspiration for lower cost of the skill itself, and more elemental damage with crit. Then Trinity, which gives you just a bunch of penetration and elemental damage, and we are using all three elemental damage types, which means that Trinity is gonna work just fine. So everything you need to do is just to do at least good chunks of each elemental damage types, and Trinity will work well. It will give you a bunch of pen for all of them. And we're not taking any penetration, we're not taking any curses to lower enemies' resistances, because we're using marks, which means that the penetration from Trinity and penetration from this talent that just gives 10% damage to all elemental resistances, penetration to all elemental resistances, will work very well with different types of damages that we're using. So yeah, just awakened elemental damage with attacks, Mirage Archer just to have this smoother playstyle and have more damage, and some crit damage as well. Then with our single target setup, I guess your additional damage will be artillery ballista. You can't use Trinity here, so it's all just for crits, attack speed. Multiple totems is just more convenient way to spawn more ballistas at once. You can use something else with it. And just elemental damage, yeah. So with our auras, it's Grace, Defiance, Banner, and Determination. They give us armor and evasion, a bunch with Enlighten, as we can see. So yeah, he squeezed that for having more unreserved mana. It's not essential again. Lightning Arrow, we have Tornado, Sniper Mark, Hydrosphere, and Power Charge on crit. Oh yeah, and that's in special item here, Asenath's Mark, which is, to be honest, quite cheap this league, even though it's bow league. Trigger a socketed spell when you attack with bow with 0.3 second cooldown. Yeah, spell damage we're not interested in. Attack speed, energy shield, mana regeneration. So yeah, so everything that is slotted into our headgear will proc by itself. So we see here that we have Tornado and Hydrosphere that will give us even more damage with... yeah, they're just gonna be using automatically and it will just give us more damage. There will be like this Tornado spawn that acquires your arrows and then spreads even more damage, and Hydrosphere gives minus res to the enemies. A Sniper Mark will be casted automatically. Again, that's a big damage multiplier for us. And then we have power charge on crit for Hydrosphere and Tornado. They will generate as power charges. We will have more chance to crit. Then with our last stuff that we have here, it's precision. It's anomalous precision. So yeah, it's our additional accuracy and crit strike chance. Blink arrow, frost blink. You can change it for dash. You can change it for maybe like most likely only dash, maybe flame dash if you want to. But yeah, the guy here uses blink arrow and frost blink. These are both cooldown based movement skills. So yeah, you can alternate between them. And steel skin, which is not automated because it's in gloves. And as if we can see here, yeah, there's no automation, so you're just pressing steel skin either when you're running or just on your left mouse button key, or for some moments where you see that you're taking a bunch of damage. You can definitely just ditch some of the like either blink arrow or frost blink or whatever you're comfortable with, and then automate it with cast when damage taken. That's all up to you. It's not essential for the build to work or not to work. Yeah, and now let's go for the items and wrap this up with the build. So with items, we have just straight up quite basic but very, very high elemental DPS spine bow with high baseline critical strike chance. Spine bows are very good with critical strike chance. And 1400 elemental DPS, which is massive. Then additional additional chance to deal double damage, which is again even it's a multiplier on our already high multiplier levels, because we have crit strike, quite high crit strike, as you can see here. It's crit chance 100%. And effective crit chance 94. It's with ballista, and with lightning arrow it probably will be a bit lower. Yeah, it's like 87%. So it's your attacks are gonna multiply from all your baseline multipliers, then it will multiply on your crit multiplier, and then it will have a chance to deal even double damage with that. So that's gonna be just a massive amounts of damage. Yeah, then with quiver we have just a regular crit strike, projectile speed, damage, health, and bow fire and additional arrow, which probably is quite expensive and you can get away without it. But there is one but in here. This guy don't have GMP in his main link, which means that he really needs this +1 arrow from here. He has 2 arrows from Ascendancies, 2 arrows from his talents, which is already 5 with your baseline 1, and 1 additional from the quiver. You can definitely use GNP and ditch some of damage out of your lightning arrow, and that way you will have like +5 of projectiles, but you wouldn't have an additional damage from your 6 link. Yeah, so Asenath's Mark, we've already saw Hyris Ire. It's quite an expensive body armor that gives you a bunch, just like huge amounts of evasion rating, suppression, and flat cold damage with bows, which is just additional damage. So yeah, it's expensive, it's good, you can live without it just as easy. Just as you can play without Asenath's Mark, but it's not as expensive at all currently, so yeah, there's no problem to acquire it. So with our gauntlets, it's just regular resistance, life, some damage, some flat damage, more crit with possible like Eldritch stuff. Boots, it's just maximum movement speed as possible, then onslaught, because we're not using the flask that gives onslaught, silver flask. Increased cooldown recovery rate of travel skills, just for your blinks to have to be up more. Scorched ground while you're moving is not essential, it's good, but yeah, still. So crit where possible, movement speed where possible, onslaught where possible, chance to avoid elemental ailments, which he probably has a cap with that. Yeah, and this way you're immune to freeze, immune to ignite, and immune to shock. Then with amulet, we see that we have Vengeant Cascade, which is the mastery for this league. It's like, it's your projectiles coming back to you. there it is. So yeah, returning projectiles pierce all targets, attack projectiles return to you. So after all your projectiles pierce, chain, and fork through all enemies, they will return to you, and they will deal more damage to all enemies that they're traveling through. It's quite broken now. It's used almost everywhere. It's 2 gold, 2 golden, and 1 amber, which is like maybe 50, 80, 90 chaos. You can live without it, but it's giant damage multiplier as well. So there, yeah, that's just a regular amulet. Life, attributes, some evasion, crit multi elemental resistances, and as you can see, all his rare jewelry has non-channeling skills, have -7 to total mana cost, and this mind loop as well. Non-channeling skills have -2 mana cost, so that he can use his skills without life tap. He can have like 10% of his mana unreserved and still have enough mana to use his lightning arrow, leech, and then be able to use it whenever he needs that. Then the taming, it's just a bunch of that's a unique ring, which is already quite like low on price. It's just a bunch of elemental damage, a bunch of elemental resistances, and some chance to proc the elemental ailments. Yeah, with our belt we see here it's Stygian Vice, some resistances, elemental damage, life, and strength. Yeah, we need some of the attributes here, 100%, and the Abyssal Socket is again life, flat damage, gain phasing on kill, chance to gain phasing on kill because he doesn't have phasing in his talents or anything like that. That's gonna help you with just not being stacked on enemy minions. With flasks, it's just life flask, it's quicksilver, granite, jade, and diamond, so crit, armor, evasion, just healing, and movement speed. Yeah, and then with everything else, it's just that's it. That's done. I guess we've covered everything. So yeah, if you like these types of videos, if you want more of them, if you want to see more of them, then definitely subscribe to my channel and subscribe to my Twitch, because I'm gonna stream there some Path of Exile and not only gameplay. So I hope you're having a good day, and goodbye.